Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. You are not going to believe what Yolanda Salvador is saying about the murder of Selena. Now, she's up for parole around March 30th, which is really right around the corner, unfortunately. I don't believe she has a chance in hell, thankfully, but she has the opportunity to go through the motions. She is actually stating that she believes Selena is partly responsible for her own death. Can you believe it? Not only that, but Yolanda believes she is a political prisoner. So let me go over the News Nation bit with Ashley Banfield, and we'll go over this a bit more because it burned me up, that's for sure.
She was a Tejano music sensation in 1995. But during an argument in a South Texas motel, Yolanda shot her in the back. Yolanda claimed it was an accident, but she was sent to prison for life with a chance at parole after 30 years. And now 30 years is up. Her parole hearing is set for March 30th, 16 days away. But according to Saldivar's family, Yolanda is still holding on to her accident story and that Selena is partly to blame for her own death. They say, quote, Yolanda knows what she did was wrong and she takes responsibility for it, but she was reacting to the way she was confronted. She says that Selena came at her really aggressively. If Selena had confronted her differently, this never would have happened.
Talk about victim blaming. Oh, well, if she didn't come at me so aggressively because I was a criminal and stealing money from her family and her fans, well, maybe she wouldn't have lost her life that day. WTF. This woman has zero remorse as far as I'm concerned. Her family says, oh, she's taking partial responsibility for it. No, she does not give a crap in hell. She has every excuse in the book she's thrown out. She has thrown out, there's all these supposed audio tapes out there that claim all this other garbage. You remember that whole thing? We covered it on the last video about that there was audio that they went even search for. A PI and one of the music stations, I'm blanking on who it was right now, I believe it might have been VH1. They went and did a search for it years ago. They went on this wild goose chase to find this alleged stuff hidden in some bank, the safety deposit box, which does not exist. Because Yolanda is a freaking liar. She's a liar. More than that, she's a murderer. She's a cold-blooded killer. She killed her best friend because she couldn't continue to be around her. She stalked Selena. She basically decided she was in charge of her life, and unfortunately, it took Selena until it was too late to start seeing these signs. Her family and friends started seeing it, but it was too late. And I think personally that she was probably going to take her own life as well, but she chicken crapped out, okay? But to actually state at this point, oh, well, if it wasn't for Selena coming at her so aggressively, then maybe she wouldn't have been shot. When I read this the other night, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me, Yolanda. Yeah, let's just victim blame, especially with your parole hearing around the corner. This does not bode well for you. Of course, I don't think you stand a chance in hell to begin with, though.
Is that right? I am pleased to welcome back to the program John Houston. He is a retired police commander from Corpus Christi, Texas, who was the first officer on the scene of Selena's murder back in 1995. Commander Houston, it's good to have you back on the program. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Not the best way to get parole, I would imagine. Do you agree?
I would agree 100%. It's like, what kind of negative attention you want to bring to yourself 2 weeks before your hearing? It's just ridiculous. A continuation of the lies.
I can't figure it out. Speaking of the lies, it's great that you're the first person on the scene because you have a perspective a lot of people won't have. Yolanda Saldívar had a different story that she told you after she took the gun from her head after a very long standoff about why she killed Selena. What was it?
Well, she was indicating that the father was trying to interrupt the business relationship between the two, and the relationship, it was the father's fault. It was everything was blamed on the father, and it was accidental. She didn't mean to do it. And then, of course, today she comes out and she's like, "Well, if she hadn't talked to me, I wouldn't have killed her." I mean, just nonsense, complete nonsense.
So, like, it gets even more specific. When you mention father, I want to be clear. We're talking about Selena's father. And didn't Yolanda say, Selena's father made me kill her? And the quote is, he made me shoot her. Selena's own father made me shoot her. What does that even mean? Like, what was her context for saying that?
I think it was the context that the father had figured out that she was stealing money, and that the business relationship with her in charge of the fan club was now coming to an end. And I think the father didn't want Selena to have any business with her. And I think that was the context of it, was like she was really mad that if the father hadn't gotten away, that they still would have had some kind of relationship.
I love that she has this gentleman on because he was there. He was at the scene, and he was there when Yolanda was in her vehicle with her gun to her head. "Oh, I'm gonna kill myself! I shot my best friend!" A lot of us kind of wish she would have, but yeah. She wants to blame anyone and everyone but Yolanda. Okay? Yolanda Saldívar, as far as I'm concerned, she's a selfish individual. If she couldn't have what she wanted, she was going to do anything she could to get it out of her way. So I agree. She hated Selena's father because, if you guys saw the movie, obviously the other series, but the movie is pretty depictive of a lot of stuff. So if you're curious of the story of what exactly happened here with Selena, I do highly recommend the movie. It does have Jennifer Lopez, but it's an excellent movie. But he approached Yolanda and said there's files missing, and he approached her at least a couple times, as far as I understand. And then, he said, "You're stealing from me." And then Selena was like, "How could you do this to me?" She felt that because of Abraham, he was going to not only fire her, which he did. Okay, he fired her, but that she would no longer be able to have this person she was obsessed with. She was obsessed with Selena. Remember, she had pictures all over her home of Selena. I think she wanted to be Selena. And she was living her life. She was living life through Selena in some sort of way. It's very, very crazy. And as soon as Abraham put his foot down and it separated the two of them, and Selena started to see that this friend was not really a friend, and she was doing awful things to her money, and again her stealing from her fans. That was a big thing for Selena because she loved her fans, and she was one of those, you could see it, that her fans, she understood her fans made her who she was, and it just upset her, and she knew the friendship was gone. And so she was doing any and everything she could to try to salvage some sort of relationship. Remember, she said she was attacked and got Selena to come. And Chris was there, her husband, for that particular, visit for the first one that she didn't give the files. She took Yolanda to the hospital. So she was making up all kinds of stuff. And she bought the gun. She returned the gun, bought the gun again. So the bottom line was she couldn't have Selena. No one else could. And it sounds like she blames Abraham for exposing her dirty work. She blames him for all of this. And now, of course, she's blaming Selena for approaching her, quote unquote, aggressively. I mean, anybody but herself, anybody but Yolanda, who actually was the one that pulled the trigger, is to blame, according to Yolanda.
And I think the father didn't want Selena to have any business with her. And I think that was the context of it, was like she was really mad that if the father hadn't gotten away, that they still would have had some kind of relationship, or she would still steal. I mean, she's been a liar since day one, so this doesn't surprise me.
But it doesn't make any sense either, because Selena's father, let's just say if Yolanda was telling the truth, that Selena's father made me kill his daughter, or asked me to kill his daughter. A, it's his daughter, so I doubt it. And B, she's the golden goose. And they are all literally working for Selena. So what would be the reason did Yolanda even have one? Could she even make one up that Selena's father told Yolanda to kill Selena?
No, I think this is just, I mean, she's been working on this for 30 years. It's been story after story. I think as she got close to 30 years, she's just trying to get media attention, even bad media attention. And she's got fans out there that, I don't know, they follow people like her. And it's pretty sad.
Now, Banfield is misunderstanding that, I think, here. She's not saying Abraham wanted her to kill Selena. She's saying he is the reason she killed Selena. So Banfield's she misunderstood that a bit there. But yeah, bottom line is, any and all excuses she can pull out of her ass all these 30 years, but putting herself as 100% to blame is going to be up, whatever Yolanda decides to do. It's all about the fact that, she can't take all the blame when she is the one who bought the gun and she pulled the trigger. Period.
And she's got fans out there that, I don't know, they follow people like her. And it's pretty sad. But it's sad for the family that they got to put up with this nonsense. She belongs in jail. She needs to stay there.
And I can't believe she has people on her side. Well, besides her family. If she has a Yolanda fan club, she is probably excited as hell, because that's all she ever wanted. She wanted to be Selena. She wanted to be as big and popular as Selena. And they did not mention the whole political prisoner thing here in the News Nation piece, but it's all over parts of the news web here. I originally read it, I think, on the Post, the New York Post, and I know some folks, they don't give it a lot of credence, but, hey. They're stating that a member of Saldivar's family is stating that Yolanda feels like she is a political prisoner at this point. She's ready to get out of jail because she believes she has more than served her time. Well, first of all, she's not a political prisoner. She is in jail, in prison, because she murdered someone. She murdered Selena Quintanilla. Okay? You murder somebody, you're not a political prisoner. She obviously has no knowledge of what a political prisoner is. And the fact that she believes she has more than served her time, well, if you hadn't killed Selena, she would have been alive and well right now. So what about her? You cut her life drastically short. You took her away from her family, her loving family, who she was very close to, and they were very close to her. Her recent husband, Chris, and they were going to have a family. She wanted to have a family. She's had an English crossover album in the works. So much future was ahead for Selena. But it was all taken away by Yolanda Saldivar. So we need to make sure that she stays behind bars. And I don't think Again, I don't think she stands a dang chance at this parole hearing. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people there to make sure of that. But just like Susan Smith, she's going to try again and again and again because that's what they do. They have nothing better to do. But it's really hard for you to even feel remotely sorry for, which I don't feel sorry for at all. But when these folks that have killed family members, folks like Selena, when they've done this and they can't take the blame and even come out with real, true empathy and sorrow and say that they've done horrible, horrible things and not just say, oh, I've found, I've been reading the Bible and all this stuff, not just to talk, okay, to actually legitimately become a better person, then maybe you can feel like they have a small chance. But as far as I'm concerned, Yolanda needs to stay behind bars until she leaves in a box. She took away a 23-year-old who had so much ahead of her. She had so much ahead of her. She was a young woman. Yolanda had nothing. She had nothing because as soon as she got fired and Selena's being pulled away from her, she felt her life was over. So she took Selena's. Alright guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And with that said, I hope you have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.